Thank you. I
Thank
think
you.
David has not introduced himself yet.
Yes, Mr. David.
Yeah, hi, I'm David. Let's see here. I haven't been with the team as long as Tom, either of the Toms, but I've been here around a while. I was on the team back in the early 2000s. Well, yeah, early to I guess late 2000s. Um, and I've been doing, I guess, GIS stuff ever since. Right now I'm a GIS architect at a GIS consulting firm in Indianapolis, and I live in Iowa. Um, I mentor. I'm super still actively involved in 4-H, and I guess somewhat involved with this. And then the thing that takes the most amount of time is I mentor a FRC robotics team that's out of Iowa State. Yeah, who's next?
I think that's everybody. So do you all know Isaiah Barco?
Yeah, he's one of our extension agents here.
That's sweet. All right. Yeah, so he has your local license for your ArcGIS org account. We got that set up back in June. So you all should be able to get your accounts through him, but I can also give you a national team account. So, but wanted to close that loop. What's up next, Brandon?
All right. From there, here, let me get back to the agenda. I'm using my phone. Oh, the shared Google Drive. I wanted to make sure, since it seemed like so many people were requesting access to the agenda this afternoon. And also I wasn't able to edit and add documents to it, to just make sure if you could go over the permissions for it and then send a link in to make sure all the people that are here can also access it. Um, so
Yeah, I'll work on that. Thanks for bringing that to my attention.
got it. Then from there, so Sasi Reka was going to be here. Oh, I just saw a website update. One quick thing. So Sasi Reka has created a social media account. We're in compliance with all 4-H policies as far as I know, and we haven't made any posts yet. The current approval structure was we would just send it to you, Dr. Ray, and then we were going to basically internally just make sure that it also was within the 4-H guidelines that we have on hand currently. Um, Main
And
thing
so
was
just to be clear, what was the process that you went through to make sure that was all
here.
good?
So the process is, as long as it's technically, we have to basically stay within. We can't excessively post, no swearing, vulgarity, stuff like that. The works. Um, but we are allowed to. Basically, our posts are allowed. What is it? As long as we have an adult that's approving it. So, are you, I guess, the like one of the supervisors, like adult leaders for the national team, or like within 4-H?
I am.
Got it. Um, so yeah, basically,
Doesn't
Sassy
mean I
Rec
want
and
more
I.
work.
Honestly, we can make it a picture and then we'll send it to you and have Y/N and a question mark, and
Yeah,
then
just give me a check mark or an X.
yeah,
Also,
exactly,
I do have two questions.
sir.
So where were you getting these rules from?
Mr. Merritt.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What were you? I couldn't
Okay.
hear what you said earlier.
So sorry, I was asking where did you get the rules from?
So they were through our wait. I emailed the communication director for our county extension, and they basically passed off the guidance that they had on hand. As for
Okay.
guidance for sorry.
I was just going to say fantastic. That's great. I just want to make sure it came from 4-H. And then the other thing I was going to ask is, do you have an administrator who is a adult volunteer on that page currently?
Currently, no. Dr. Ray,
Okay.
or if another adult volunteer wants to do that, then I would gladly we can send over those credentials immediately.
I was going to say if you can add me or Dr. Ray or
Yeah,
somebody to.
I would prefer it to be an adult other than myself, if possible.
Got it. Mr. Merritt or
That,
video?
that that's fine by me. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it Facebook, LinkedIn? What is it?
Instagram, as far as I know right now.
Instagram. Okay, yeah. I think
We do have,
Instagram. I
I
don't
was going
know
to say,
that
we
they
do
do
have,
moderators.
Well, then I just heard Rishabh say that we're adding LinkedIn.
Oh, yes.
I was going to say too, we also have Facebook. I don't know how much that gets used
Well,
anymore.
we have Facebook, and I would say that neither Miss Esther nor Miss Kim are here tonight, but they have historically been the wranglers of our Facebook page. Um, I want to encourage, so I guess what I'm hearing is lots of great ideas, and I'm fully in support of all of them. What I see happening a lot in organizations and has the potential to happen here is a lot of individuals start going off and doing individual things. And while as long as they're around, that's great and it can work. But kind of where we find ourselves now is that we have things that have been started but not maintained. And what I would rather see is kind of a coordinated effort that is aligned and sustainable. And so, again, it's not that I question anybody's ability to go and take any one of these things and run with it. That's not it. But I do think it needs to be coordinated so that, the certain types of messages that we want to put out, and we kind of determine where we want to put out what message and are kind of consistent with that. And I'm not asking to be in charge of any of it, but I do want it to be more coordinated. So rather than a lot of different lines of things, it's more of a coordinated effort. Does that make sense? Yeah,
Yeah,
coordinating across the platforms at the same time. Yes.
Also, I think like a strategy. So going back to my forage robotics team that I mentor, they have, and I think this would be maybe good. And I don't know if I think we have maybe enough people to do this, to have like a sub team or subgroup that just focuses on, like, that's one of their focus areas of social media strategy and posting and stuff. And they would be the ones that manage and maintain that. Because
So
I
we
think,
do have a group that signed up to do that at our last meeting. We have a group that signed up to do web, like our websites. And then we had a group that said they wanted to do social media. I don't know that they are the same group or different groups. There were some uniquenesses within those groups. I know my understanding is each of those groups started like a little email, started to kind of do some coordination. I know there was a meeting that was going to happen with web group that didn't end up happening. Um, and then the social media team has tried to meet, but I can make sure to get okay. Yeah, again, I kind of want it to be brought together, more converging than diverging. And the more we converge, I think it's going to be better. And even I would even say that potentially the web team and the social media team need to have an overarching plan so that they kind of line up, because web can support social media and social media can push to web. Like those ought to be coordinated as well.
got it. Yeah, I took note of that. So actually, this kind of ties into our next item that I don't know who added it, but it was regarding a website update. So Mr. Matthews, was that you, or Mr. Merritt, was that you?
That was not me.
Oh, all right.
Well, I would like, so maybe might have been Barbara. She's kind of the no. Okay.
I added it.
Uh,
Oh, David
all I
added it.
know is that we've really tried
Yeah.
to get together. Unfortunately, we kind of had a date and then had to redo. So the redo has been hard to a little bit of wildcats wrangling. Um, but they're eager and persistent, and that's good. So we'll get to it as soon as we can.
Right.
So, and rather than, I do think we have some other agenda items to push through, but I wonder if we open up the floor, like I've seen some things drop into chat,
Mhm.
Brandon, that is somebody taking notes for this evening?
Rishab and Sujan both are.
Okay, great. Because yeah, I see a Slack workplace, I see a group of people, maybe a WhatsApp group. I see consistent workflows, um, coordinating across platforms. So it might be worth just the larger group to have a 5 minute opportunity for folks to kind of start forming what we're thinking about here. Like I heard Slack and WhatsApp. I think both of those would be maybe moving towards the same thing. And then I know that historically we've had a group me, plus we use email. Um, and so we probably don't need all of those.
I was gonna say, Tom, so I think the thing that
let's not have all of those.
I was gonna say the thing that comes to mind is a consistent messaging strategy and how we or I guess a consistent communication strategy and how we do internal communication. Because like the website thing, I feel like, oh, everyone was like emailing back and forth, and that's not, very effective when you're trying to figure out, hey, we should meet tonight. Oh, what time tonight? Like, and versus like a Slack type workspace thing where you can also spawn off like subgroups and whatnot or something like that.
I have not used Slack, so I don't know a lot about it. Is it similar to a GroupMe or a WhatsApp?
It's
Like,
better than that because it's mobile, desktop, and web, which I guess GroupMe, and you can also more easily add people. So like that's what our robotics team uses where we can do it, and you can also message people easier and whatnot.
So actually, I like to say something about that as well. Slack is also like it's typically meant for more like professional communication, and also with Slack we can easily create different groups. I mean, I don't know. This is just an idea. I mean, we could have like one like by default there's like a general group with all members of the team, but then you can create like specific groups for specific projects or specific states or things like that. And I think uh, Slack provides a very flawless experience for such professional communication. But I guess it's also important to have like a second uh, option like WhatsApp, just in case if we need to quickly contact someone. But I guess for like professional communication, I would vouch for Slack.
I guess I need to do some more homework because I, um, is it an app that do you download the Slack app on your phone?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And
So
you can get notifications through that.
Yep.
yes.
So we wouldn't really need GroupMe, nor would we need WhatsApp, nor really any other. If you can get notifications and automatically respond.
Yeah. And the
Yep.
nice thing too is
Does it
it's
have voice, video, and call capabilities?
yeah, it does.
Okay.
Which that's also nice.
How do others feel about using Slack?
Slack is good, Dr. Dre. Using heavily for work. That's why I don't want to use Slack for GIS.
And Ben's giving a thumbs up.
I think it's a great idea. I think since we have a smaller group, I think we can also probably just, approve this. That's
Yeah,
okay with
I
I've
think it's a
used
everyone.
it
good idea
before
as well.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
You've used it before?
Hmm.
I, I haven't
It's
used it
really
personally.
easy.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it should be easy from after hearing what everyone said.
All right, you guys go ahead and move on. I'm going to test this out and try to
Yeah.
download
And I
it.
was going to say,
Sounds
Dr. Ray,
good.
we approve it for our federal system, so it's secure
Okay.
and
Well,
all
here
that.
we are, a national team, so that's similar, right?
Um, so that is what we have for website updates. Next item really quickly was state updates. So since Sasi Rekha couldn't be here, I'm taking over for her California ones. She's been working on recruitment over in California. She finally got me good news about how um, uh, there is a conversation out of some of the agents she was talking to, I guess, out of there regarding wanting to contribute actual funds towards our team. Um, Sasi Rekha wasn't really super clear on details, but from what I could tell, it seems like some of the county like leaders are under the impression of helping cover like budgets or not budget, sorry, for like trip expenses for the team and contributing in that way. Um, she also let me know about the fact that she's gotten, I believe it's about 10 to 20 applicants from California that me and her, or her and I will be taking care of in the coming 2 weeks. Um, and the last thing was, Sasirek and I are both have been working obviously on recruitment, and she has contacted, I believe, 3 different professors from UC San Francisco and one from what is it? I can't remember, UC Berkeley, regarding kind of like seeing if there's any opportunities there or to work together. So that's what I have for California. I wanted to really quickly just open the floor up though for discussions about that financial contribution piece from the counties. I don't think Sasi Rekha implied to them in any way that we were seeking that, but um, any guidance for how we're supposed to go that would be appreciated.
Brandon, thanks for bringing that up. Maybe I'll just sync up with the California team, leadership team,
Sorry,
state team,
everyone's
and I'll
cutting
update
out.
you maybe in a week or so. If they could allocate some budget for our team.
Oh, sorry. Yes, everyone cut out. Thank you, Ms. Bijan.
So,
Yeah, so
Vidya, could you repeat that? I heard part of it, then it got cut out just a little bit
So what
there.
I was saying is, Dr. Ray, I'll just check up with the California State Leadership Team
Mhm.
to see if they can channelize some funds for our team,
Mhm.
or else at least I can ask for reference where we could get funds from some companies or some kind of collaborations with some other org or something like that. But I'll get back to you all in a week via email.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
All right then. Then so that's all I have for California. Is there anything else that people would like to add really quickly?
Tomorrow is Hunger Action Day here. And then I'm syncing up with the food bank locally.
Mhm.
They have some plans and they have some asks as well. So I will come to know more after the call tomorrow. I'll keep you all posted on the same as well.
Got it. Thank you. Okay then. So moving forward, next state to update is North Carolina. So there was brief update I got received from Brock regarding the Fuquay Arena Club. They're transitioning leadership and they are taking on new projects at their high school. For my high school, we are starting a GIS division that's on its way, and we have 3 new members for that. Um, uh, and then for besides outside of the school clubs, we have obviously recruited Rishab and Sir John this coming week or last weekend. And we have made a lot of progress on kind of assembling. So Sasirek and I both worked on getting a list together of contacts across or kind of like the states nearest to us. So I believe it was about 14 states that we reached out to. Dr. Ray helped me revise the email, but we sent it out to their different state 4-H program leaders, asked kind of letting them know what the national team does and inviting them to get 4-Hers or basically send 4-Hers our way. and the last thing we were working on was the excuse me. I'm blanking right now, but I believe it was around the fact of basically recruitment. Oh, sorry, the strategic plan. That was the thing. Dusty, Rekka, and I were basically coming up with goals, and those have finally been clarified, and we are finalizing a much more, how do I put this, cleaner and streamlined process for new applicants and also onboarding them, because the way for Rishab and Sir John were kind of the first, and we want to try to make the experience a lot more or improve it a lot more for future applicants. So that was what I have for state updates. Dr. Ray, if you want to add anything else?
No, that sounds great. Thank you.
All right, and I see that you sent me a Slack invite over text.
Yeah, does it work?
I'm working on it right now. Okay then. So that is all I have. I'm actually gonna skip the strategic plan stuff just because I think that's a better conversation to have with the rest of the team, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the actually, I don't believe that Dr. Ilya is joining us, but for Nourish, I wanted to debrief everyone really quickly on that project. So I don't no okay. So Mr. Tom Tate was also there at that meeting, but we basically last we had about kind of the different avenues we wanted to go with our Nourish project. So for Bishop and Sir John, since you guys haven't been in loop, it's it is one of the GIS projects that we're working on with UC's San Francisco, I want to say, Dr. Ray?
UC San Francisco in partnership with UC San Diego and
University of Kansas?
Yeah, there you go.
Got
and
it.
there may be more. I don't know.
Oh.
And now us.
And us. So there, so that project's basically, and I can send you more materials if you're interested in joining it, but we have the Nourish project is this platform / app that they're developing to kind of help consumers and farmers find consumers find like basically local and healthy foods within their community, and then it's helping business owners start farms and like start basically selling their products. So it's a very intuitive app. They want to basically, they're using it as a kind of a solution towards like food deserts and towards basically addressing food insecurity. I think I may have briefed you both on this before, but just to make sure everyone else is on the same page. So from our meeting, and Mr. Tom, if you feel free to jump in on this, we kind of narrowed it down to the few angles, mainly regarding like analyzing the impact of like local food chains is kind of where we want to go. And then we were thinking of getting basically using the data we have from an older project within this new one. So where's the food data, where we were collecting data about what food was available in like basically grocery stores in like different areas, and kind of putting that into this project to kind of try to use resources efficiently. So that's my update for the Nourish project. Mr. Tom, if you have anything else to add?
I think the Nourish members of the team from the San Diego and the University of Cal at San Francisco expressed interest in building the bridge of the gap, as simply stated. How do consumers find fresh food in their communities? And it lines up very nicely with the work that some of you who've been with us several years involved in the Where's the Food initiative, where you all help develop the strategies for going out and working with the food banks and the food pantries and the farmers markets, where there is, in some cases, good fresh food supplies, where those markets are working, that we continue to build that inventory of where they are. But they want to go a little deeper than we did in our initial Where the Food, and that is to find out more about where that food actually comes from that is in that farmer's market. So there might be 15 or 20 different providers of food at an outlet or food bank or food pantry, and to be able to trace the lines back into the community where does the food come from California to North Carolina, or is it from within North Carolina? And then within North Carolina, where and what communities might it be from in North Carolina? And do we know what specific farms? So it's sort of a diagramming, collecting enough, adding some sensitivity to the data that we would collect in the Nourish project that would, those that are collecting the data would learn a lot about their local food system and its strengths and its weaknesses. And of course, as we've always done multiple years over where the weaknesses are identified to come up with recommendations and get people talking about how to fix some of those problems and using the maps to show them where the weaknesses are. And I'll pause there.
So Tom and Brandon, I missed the most recent meeting with Nourish. Was there any specificity given to a methodology for doing that? Like if I walk into my local grocery store here and I pick up a head of broccoli, was there a methodology provided for, well, how do I figure where like, what are the steps I would go through to figure out, well, how did it get to the Lowe's Foods? And then what farm, like back to what farm it came from, or what area in the state, or like like how is that supposed to happen? I can see that for the farmers markets. That's pretty straightforward. You go and you talk to the farmer at the farmers market. And maybe that's what we're starting with. I don't know, but
I think that's where we're starting. I think that's the easiest place to start. And then you don't have to work out all the details with all the different partners, but start with a partner that it's most feasible to make progress with.
Got it. And so I know that there have been different, like lots of ideas about what we could do in this Nourish project. And one of them had to do with taking pictures of the food and then doing some descriptors in such a way to train AI with image analysis around the food. Is that still on the table here? Or is this just a completely different direction?
I think they want a more general plan of what's feasible from the perspective of this team that we have basically between now, separate September and next July at ESRI, we want to have a very successful presentation at ESRI about what is feasible to do, what we were able to do in 6 months, and to be able to share that model and then grow it on out and expand it in more detail in the other sectors beyond farmers markets. And we want to pick the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, on the task that we can make some good progress and show. And I think some of our people have, like David was with the Iowa group and got a lot of data collected. I know that California got some data collected. I know North Carolina had. And so whatever methods we use in going out and getting those data that got posted on, and even Tennessee was able to be effective to get maybe a designated person from North Carolina, California, Tennessee, that are on the Iowa that are on the call tonight, and come up with a page that describes that process. Thomas, in answer to your question.
Yeah. I think we need some because I think there could be about as many approaches as there are people on the call or number of young people that get involved in the project. And so I would really like for us to, streamline this. Barbary, with your project-based learning experiences, is there kind of like a ready-made or maybe very similar project that would be easy to kind of follow? I guess what I'm envisioning is, go to your farmer's market, start at a stand. I mean, I don't know if we're collecting.
Yeah, I mean, I would say where is this data going is important. It would be very simple to create a survey 123 that collected probably most of the information that either already connects to a data set. I haven't seen Nourish's data sets if they have them. But a survey 123 would get it done. We could branch out into some of the other kinds of collectors, but even just a survey 123 will, you could take a photograph, you could, mark your location where you saw it at the market. You could ask about another location, add some other descriptors and those kinds of things. I mean, I don't know what all we want at the end of the day, but you definitely want to simplify and centralize that data as much as possible, especially being in different places. So I think that's the first step, is just to agree, what does this data look like? And if we're sending out, random folks, I mean, in theory, anybody that had a link to that survey could go to the farmer's market and collect that information if we've structured the survey well enough to not be too subjective.
So then in the data visualization, I'm just thinking this through. So if we had where the farmer's market is, and then we had where the farm it came from is, could we do those like little arc map, those little maps that show the lines that connect all those? Like,
Sure.
That would be a pretty cool story. And if they were all local, that would tell part of that story. Or if they're not.
Yeah. But it's got to get collected. So
yeah, I got to get the data.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we do have people on this call who were in on the development and utilization of the Where's the Food app, phone-based app tools, which themselves could be simply modified for this special surveys.
Sure.
And
is that data currently available, Tom?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
You just go to www.where'sthefood.us.
Okay.
And the survey, go to the survey and go to the, we call it the dashboard.
Yeah.
You can see the map where the data has been collected. And if you go to the survey instrument, that's the instrument that the survey, that some of the youth that are on, Ben Merritt from Tennessee and Thomas Ray and, the team from California were involved in collecting some of this data over a 2 or 3 year period. So maybe we could have a subgroup, Thomas, of maybe I'm just suggesting maybe that David from Iowa, he helped encourage the people in Iowa to collect a lot of that data. If David and Ben and someone from North Carolina and someone from California could be on, would be willing to work on this to come up with a draft of a feasible idea that they could share with us next month. It would be great.
Yeah. All right. The other thing, the other people to ask is that Nourish team,
Of course.
What were they hoping from the partnership in terms of the data that they need in terms of their research to make this is still a good connection or a good partnership for them?
Not to oversimplify, but they would like to have a good partnership with 4-H over beyond the 9-month period that we're in.
Sure.
To have youth engaged in not worrying about the details of it, but to demonstrate that they are able to partner with us and mobilize a group of youth to collect data about this problem, about how do people find fresh food in their community. What's the answer? That's the bottom line. That's what they want to do, is produce
Right.
that product that people could use as a tool to access how to find fresh fruit, improve the process of finding fresh fruit, healthy food in their community. And I think we are already partially doing that. And we've got the models. It's a matter of fine tuning them and tweaking them some and getting more people in different communities on board to go out there and go to the farmers markets and do more detailed research.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my question would be to those on the line tonight, Barbara, maybe you would help us convene a discussion with Ben and David and someone from North Carolina and someone from Tennessee that would be involved in that discussion to say, let's take our already developed tool where the food survey instruments and dashboard and mapping and so on, and how would we modify it to make it do some of these new things that we hope to achieve.
Yeah.
We don't have to tear everything down, and
no.
We can rebuild. We can build on and modify the models that we already have proven work very nicely.
Yeah, and I mean, where my brain was is if we already have data that's going to lay on a map, then we want new data that we collect to speak nicely to anything.
Yeah, so that would be my question about using our existing survey. It's got a little different twist to it.
I was gonna say, I think I see two different purposes, right? One, where we're just collecting locations where people can buy the food, and then the other one of connecting it to places where either the food is produced at or a middle place for the food. So before it gets to the market, like where is it, I guess, coming from, or where does it go, kind of thing.
Yes, that's a little deeper dive,
Yeah, so I think I see two. So I think I personally would leave what you have right now in place, and then you create another like survey 123, and then you can, on the back end of things, create a view in ArcGIS Online that joins the two together.
Yeah, that makes sense, David. Thank you. And I see your project on tracing each oyster from tide to table. That looks
That wasn't
really
my project. So I literally did what you guys were talking about, although I faked it till I made it. And we were semi-finalists in the Esri Hackathon. But our app was basically what you guys are wanting to do, where like item, in this case, in our case, we took orange from an orange fruit or an orange stand in Redlands, and we like dropped it where it was like, here's when it came from the farm, and here's the date it was picked, and here's where it went to the market, and then taking your current location and basically plotting lines on the map to show here's like kind of like how far it has traveled, sort of thing, to get to your table.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll tell you, the whole Nourish project is really intriguing. And if you're not familiar with what they're doing, I'll send a video out to the group later that you can see. I know we've got some new folks. I don't want to necessarily take the time to go back through it right now with everybody. But it's really an interesting project, and it's exciting to be a part of it. But let's go ahead and do we have folks that would be interested in being on kind of like the design team for our Nourish deliverable? I see somebody.
I'm happy to help
Ben
if I can.
So Ben, Barbaree, David. Any new folks wanna?
Sure,
Anyone
I'd
from
love to help.
California?
All right.
Okay, I'm in.
Anyone from
I can help.
California?
Yes, yes,
who
yeah,
was
we
the
are.
last one that said I can help?
Me.
Okay.
It's Rajan.
Okay, good.
Vidya's in California.
Yeah.
And is there a time that that design team might, in a minute that we devoted to that you all could get together?
We'll put that on the new Slack.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll do a Slack team for this. Awesome.
Sure.
All right.
Now, who's send the notes out? I didn't see any notes from last month's meeting, and I wondered what had happened last month. And is whoever the notes taking tonight, will they send the notes out tonight, old-fashioned email?
Sure,
If
I can
that's
send
for
it to I can send it to
Rahab.
Dr. Yeah, me and Srajan are both taking the notes currently.
Okay, excellent.
I placed a link in the chat, but I'll send it to Dr. A, who can send it out to you guys. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So Brandon, what's next on the agenda? We're a little over time, so
Oh, I was gonna say, that was why I was letting the conversation there continue. It was honestly the Nourish project, and I think, I'm really loving this Slack thing. I've been kind of playing around with it while we've been talking. Um, I think if everyone here is on board with it, which I think we've kind of agreed on this, but I was gonna go ahead and send it out to the rest of the national team and invite them onto it. And then I think for some of the other projects we have, like some of the other things we wanted to get to in this meeting, we can just have that for next. That like the strategic plan and the national team project, I kind of want to talk about that with
do you want
everyone else.
to just give some highlights real quick about your concepts that you're pitching?
So the strategic plan was basically just setting like short-term goals, but also midterm goals. So like that was the state goal of getting 3 by the end of September, and then the goal of getting 10 youth members by the end of the year. And then so that's pretty much the strategic plan. That was more of I wanted to get like everyone's input on like how they see this national team going. And then for the national team project, that was along the lines of the map the impact for the federal taxpayer dollar idea that we've been kind of in the discussion about. So I prepared an outline for that, but I'm still going to go ahead and refine it. That was going to be kind of more around it. There's a lot of like different specifics I had to nail out still, because I didn't know like which direction we wanted to go with that. So those are the highlights I have.
Well, an important input on the strategic plan was that annually we plan to send the team members to the San Diego convention, right? In July, isn't it usually? And so we plan to do that in 2020, whatever the next year is. Today's 2024, 2025 in July. And we have to submit a proposal, a workshop of what that's going to be about, our presentations within about 4 or 5 weeks from now. And so we need this design team, as part of the strategic plan to come up with that submission of what that proposal is going to be. Okay.
Got it. I'll take that under advisement. And I'll just open the floor up one more time, but that is the last item we have on this agenda. We can adjourn after.
I had a question about that.
Sure.
So, getting 2 to 3 new states and the 10 new youth members, would you like me and Bishop to work on that? I know we talked to Sasi Reka yesterday about like who we're gonna contact. Me and Bishop are both thinking about contacting 2 states in the middle of the United States and messaging the state directors to get new members. So I was wondering if there's any preference for states you would like us to contact, or if there's any more information we would need to get started with that.
Got it. So actually for that, Sir John, I can help you out. Me and Dr. Ray had sent out an email to state 4-H program leaders, and we have a sheet currently within the shared drive that I'll make sure you and Sir John or Rashad both get access to.
Okay.
But we have contacted a lot of people, so just to make sure there isn't overlap by accident.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
I would say the other thing that might make it a bit easier. So I know like here in Iowa, we have a GIS or some GIS people with an extension. So trying to identify states that have GIS extension professionals and then reaching out to them, just because they would be able to, from reaching out to state program directors is great. But from a state team perspective, you need someone that can be able to organize and support those state teams. And so being able to have that person there would be great. Another thing would be, I know that we've, I think, done this a bit in the past,
All right.
is working with
I
the
think
GIS core.
Mr. David has a great point. Yeah. Sorry.
I was gonna
Dr. Ray, it looked like you were going to say something earlier.
No, he wasn't finished. David wasn't finished.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say also too, the other thing of looking at GIS core, in terms of like GIS, or was it GeoMentors, I think it is. I don't know if that's still around. But looking at GeoMentors as well to help supplement that, because when you honestly, when you hit up state directors, they're like, oh, great, but I can't really do anything because they don't have like, you need to identify volunteers and people to be able to support it because they have 101 other things that is taking their time. So if you can start from the ground up, which is working with trying to identify states with GIS professionals that already work with 4-H or GIS professionals that would be willing to volunteer their time, that would, I think, go a lot further than just reaching out to the state 4-H program directors.
I think there's a few notes to follow up on that. So first of all, Barbary mentioned that the Geo Mentor program is not formally working any longer. That is different from your RISA's GIS core. GIS core, however, is more short-term volunteer projects. So I don't think we would be asking someone to be a long-term. So they have partnered with us the last 2 years and doing a little cartography class for us and then meeting with each of you individually. I think they would be happy to continue doing that, even as we add more states. But again, that's going to be short term, not a long term established relationship. The other piece that I think is youth. Gotcha. The other piece is that we do have some fresh traction in a few states, including additional traction in California. So it's not a new state, but we also have we have new traction in North Dakota with 2 state leads who are excited about being part of this team and work. I couldn't tell you why they're not here tonight, but we also have strong potential contacts in Miami-Dade in Florida. We also have a 4-H leader in Ohio, and so that's Aubrey Fowler. I'm not sure where she is with that work. And then we have Massachusetts and New York, both of whom or both states have been very active in the recent past, but I believe are both in kind of a reforming or a regrounding status right now. Additionally, as Brandon mentioned, there have been some other contacts that we've made at different conferences, things like that, that we've reached out to. And so while I think there could be, there's always value in establishing new relationships. So even if it's not one of those, definitely doing those reach out, those touches to kind of even just make them aware, that we exist and maybe start the conversation. And they may be teams that don't come on for 2 or 3 years, but don't get frustrated if it's not an immediate, oh, well, I asked them and they didn't sign up. Just recognize that some of these are a long game. And so it might just take a while to bring them on. But I would say even being willing to continue doing, so I know you were worried about overlap. I wouldn't worry about overlap. If there's an email and then maybe a phone call, like those, and it can be from different people. Like I think them hearing, oh, well, there's a youth here and a youth here, and they're both saying, come on and join our team. Um, I don't think that would sometimes that can be seen as a negative when you duplicate, but I don't think it would be in this case. So even if you do duplicate, as long as you make it a fresh and a different kind of approach, then I think that can be beneficial. So that was a lot of thoughts on on recruiting, but definitely follow up if you have any questions, or if you want to know the name of a specific person in one of these states that's kind of new. I can tell you Keenan Bridges is our person in Miami-Dade, Florida. And then Angie, what's Angie's last name? Somebody help me out.
Milokovic.
Milokovic is our, and then Sue Isbell are our two people in North Dakota. I mentioned Aubrey Fowler. And then, of course, we have Kim Pond in Massachusetts. I think they are going to be coming back with a strong team in the very near future. They're just kind of doing a little bit of rebuilding right now. And then Ben Merritt and Austin Ramsey are our people in Tennessee. They're working on rebuilding the Tennessee team. And then Kat Leo is our person in New York. There you go, getting ready to take off. I like it. And so, and then of course I mentioned Aubrey Fowler. So, and then we've had some soft touches in Wisconsin, um, and South Carolina, and where else have we had some soft touches? West Virginia. Um, so let's just keep being consistent. I think this is how we do it.
I agree, Dr. A. I just wanted to really quickly, all good thoughts. Just Bishop just reminded me that there was a logo that he wanted to bring to the team to really quickly get approved.
Okay.
Is that okay? Bishop, if you could just really quickly screen share it. Bishop? Yeah. So that was one that he had in mind. For use or Bishop. Actually, I'll let you take the lead on this. My bad. Sorry.
No, you're good. I just wanted to create like a personalized logo, just so it's good for our marketing, and it's a good way to have people remember our logo, and that's a great way for us to put on our LinkedIn, Instagram, even our Gmail account. So this is what I designed. It's pretty simple, and I'd love to take suggestions from you guys, regarding logos, regarding the font, anything. I'd love to help.
What projection is the map in?
Sorry, what?
What projection is the map in? You should choose a good projection.
Okay, I can work on that. Okay, I'll work on the projection.
Well, David, if you have a recommendation, maybe you can pass that along. And then, and I did note that I saw some rebranding conversation earlier, the National 4-H Geospatial Leadership Team. So if that can be the text.
For sure. National 4-H Geospatial Team. Mm-hmm.
Add leadership team.
Oh, leadership. Okay. Yeah, I can work on that in a little bit just so I can fix the formatting. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I like the idea. The only other thing I think we'll have to do is run it by whoever the brand police are. I don't know who that is for
You don't have to run it by the brand people. You just need to make sure that you follow the 4-H logo guideline, which you're doing, which is you can't have anything, behind the 4-H logo. They're very, very picky about that.
Yeah. I tried my best to look into the logo guidelines.
And ignore me.
Please let me know.
The only thing I would suggest. Sorry,
go ahead. I was just going to say, I would encourage you to, whatever map or globe or some sort of mappy representation that you use, that it's a little more realistic rather than having Alaska and Hawaii kind of tucked underneath Texas.
Sure. So that's essentially just the way the map is placed.
And I guess the only issue I could see you running into is if we go to print this on letterhead, or if we do it in a smaller logo, or even if we're printing it on something like a t-shirt or a business card, it could be really hard to get some of those finer details of the map. So maybe finding a graphic to replace the map that had less detail.
What if
Okay,
you were
that sounds
what if you were to fill the map in
okay.
and just do like an outline? That'd be a
Either
super-
way, having that many lines in a small logo is going to be a little bit difficult for you
Okay.
when it comes to printing.
Mhm.
And probably embroidering too.
Mhm.
Embroidery.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You'd want this, I'd say the simpler the better.
Simpler the better. Okay.
Yeah, so,
Thank you.
something that hints at a globe or a map, but maybe isn't as specific as, say, state lines and those kinds of things might make it easier for you.
I think
Okay, sounds good.
like an icon, so like a little like
Yeah.
the like the Esri calcite icons. So like me, I'd say look at the Esri calcite icons. They
Mhm.
have some decent ones that are pretty simple. You could
And
do
do
like,
you have a link for him, David, that you
have
can
a look.
drop
Yeah, if you have
for
a link,
the
I'd love to. Yeah.
They're all SVGs, so that's even better for. I put in chat the link to the 4-H emblem usage and the house site icons.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Yeah, I got those links. Perfect. I'll look into them once again. Thank you. Are there any other suggestions from any other members?
Yeah, I can see how you could have some fun with those icons. There's some pretty cool ones in there that might be.
Yeah.
Do we need to do
I'm going
anything to
through them.
get permission for using the icons, David?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
They're
really cool.
They're meant for web development, but I think in our case, since they're SVG and they're pretty simple and consistent.
Don't
I
do the
noticed you were
frown.
using Canva. If you'll just search like globe, they even have a nice collection of icons as well that are globe. If you search for globe or map, you'll come up with tons of options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just taking. Perfect. Yeah, I'll take all those feedback into account and send out a refined logo. Thank you guys. I truly appreciate it.
Just waiting on you, Bishop.
Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much.
All right. And I think with that, I'm ready to adjourn the meeting if everyone else doesn't have anything else said. No, we went a little bit over time.
Throughout the 4-H pledge.
Oh, that's right here. Let me find that. Okay, I gotta. No, hold on.
And then memorize it.
Say again, please.
You should memorize it.
I really should have by this point.
Well,
You're
I probably
right.
have it tattooed on in my brain.
Oh, all right. So I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living. For my club, my community, my country, and my world. All right.
All right. I'm going to
There we
stop the
go.
recording.
Sounds good.